And we are live. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Beyond the 90. We've got another preview for you for a game that hopefully can go ahead. Looking at this one, we've got Austin with us. Austin, first of all, man, how you doing?
Doing good. How about you?
Yeah, I'm good. I don't know. The game should go ahead, but I'm so used to being bailed on and cancelled now that for some reason I feel like it won't go ahead, even though I probably know it will.
Yeah. It's been a slow 3 weeks for us.
Yeah, it really has. Right, we'll move straight into we'll get into some of the transfer business a little bit because there's not been too much in regards to Leicester City. We've looked at some of the injuries to Tottenham's team. We'll look at some of the injuries to us, well, in terms of players coming back, because I think we'll just about have enough players back for this game. But first of all, we'll go on to the Tottenham team. Looks like there's going to be three players out for them. Son, obviously a big player for them. Dier at centre back and Romero at centre back as well. So again, defensively they do look weak, I think, but we know attacking wise we can go forward. But their injuries are going to kind of play a little bit in our favour. However, Austin, Leicester Tottenham's always a good game, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of a bad Leicester Tottenham game in the last 5 years. They've always been really, really good games. And I think it's just the fact of both team styles just suit a really fun game just together so great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think over the year, I'm trying to think of a really boring one, and I can't think of it. There've always been some kind of upset. Even when we went back to when we came into the Premier League, we beat them 2-1 in the Cup. Yeah, I mean, I think the year that we won the Premier League, I think Son got a double against us or 1-0 or something. But
We
that
won
was
1-0. That was Huth. Huth had the header at White Hart Lane.
yes,
That
but
would
I
have
think we
probably
were
been the
knocked
most
out of the
boring
FA
one.
Cup. The FA Cup that season by Tottenham, I want to say. Son maybe have gone 1 or 2-0 up. Anyway, that season is all about the Premier League winning. Apart from that, right? So we'll move on to that. So Son's out, Dier's out, Romero's out, which is obviously in terms of Dier and Romero, obviously two big centre backs for them. We're gonna have to. I think Brendan Rodgers' tactics, I think, will be since we're so strong attacking wise, we're gonna go for it. And with some of the players back, we'll get onto in a bit. I think we've got the. How are you feeling going into it? Do you think we can beat them? Because I'm feeling confident enough.
I'm feeling really confident, especially the last two games that we played. It's not really Tottenham because they played decent lately, but I think the way that we've played the last two games just gives me a lot of hope for how this team is feeling, and hopefully it's really rest versus rust, but we are definitely fully rested.
Yeah. And speaking of rested, all the players from last week, again, we did the Burnley preview with no Burnley game, but the same players that are fit and available through there. So again, there's not been a press conference yet, but Pat Sandaka, Chiyunchu, Luke Thomas, Kieran Dewsbury Hall is back. And one player, again, I want to mention, James Justin's back, Austin. It's been forever. It's been nearly 12 months, which has felt like a lot longer. But he could, again, we're looking at the under 23s playing at the moment as we're going live. He's not on the bench or anything for us, which probably means he was going to be at least on the bench for the Tottenham game. He's going to get such a big round of applause when he comes back. Because bearing in mind, I think he's not played in. I genuinely don't think he's played and he's heard the King Power Stadium when he's been on the pitch because of lockdown.
Yeah, I think that's the most exciting for me is to see him come back on the field. We know how good of a player he would have been. He would have been in the team of the season last year if he would have stayed healthy. He was so good, and I think it's going to be a thing. He might not be back to his full self, but just seeing him on the field is going to be an amazing sight.
Yeah, definitely, and just got some from LCFC SP here again with some great statistics and all sorts of stuff. And what I didn't realize, and you look at the graphics of his left wing back, he played 4 games, right wing back, he played 2 games. And then bearing in mind, that's just, he sometimes appeared multiple positions in multiple games. I can't remember one game he played middle of a back 3. Left back, he's played 11 times and right back. So the fact is, we miss him in that defensive position and he can play all over that back line. Such a versatile player. And especially, again, we're right, but we need to, I think, break him in slowly. Again, there's a great little post from LCFC SP. However, we're going to have to break him in slowly. We saw what we did with Ricardo Pereira, and it's going to be the same thing here, isn't it? But we just got to take our time and nurse him in. We can't throw him in the deep end because I think we saw against Zoila Hansk where we tried to throw Ricardo back in and Sionchu and they both got injured. It's going to be, we have to nurse him back into it, but it's just good to see him.
Yeah, and it's going to eventually come with Fofana too. We're going to have to break them in slowly, and obviously it'd be the worst thing to see them get hurt again. But I think just the excitement that he can bring on a field is incredible to see, and it may take a month or two. It could take 3. You really don't know with these types of injuries what mentally that he's going to go through.
Yeah, exactly. But again, give him time, come back. And in terms of that, obviously we've got Patson Daka. I think in this game, something tells me he's going to have an absolute blinding game. Patson Daka, for some reason, against Tottenham, against that back line, I think he's going to be all over them. I don't know why, but something tells me that that's going to be the case.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be the lone striker again. And so, I mean, with his pace, and you don't really have Romero or Dier back there. I know Romero's kind of the more pacier center back that they have, and you don't have that experience of Dier. It's going to fall solely on basically Davinson Sanchez to track him. And with Daka's movement all over the place, it's going to be real interesting to see if Tottenham can slow him down.
Yeah, it's going to be a really hard game. Again, my camera's going blurry for some reason. But again, another player that might be back again. Obviously, Luke Thomas probably slips into left back. KDH, I mean, I've not spoke to you in a while, Austin, but what have you thought of Kingersby Hall? Because I think he's been unbelievable the last couple of weeks he's played.
I mean, that Liverpool game is everything that KDH is. I mean, he was all over the place, all around the field. It was such an incredible. I mean, I almost want to rewatch the game and just watch him for 90 minutes. It's been so. He was. I mean, I can go on all day about how great he was in that game, and I think that's what Luton Town saw of him all last year, and I think him coming back at this side is going to give us a lot of ability in the middle of the field.
Yeah, and especially since obviously we've got, again, not just in the middle of the field, he can play on the left, he can play on the right. He's got quite a few positions he can play, and one player I think that's going to come into this game with a lot of form. He didn't manage to get a goal, but I think he's set up 2 assists. Lookman, I think I'm really excited. There's been a lot of rumors recently that potentially if we are going to sign anybody, it's going to be Lookman on a permanent deal. Do you think he gets into this starting lineup? Because I'm not exactly sure how we play, but I'll try and get something up in the meantime in terms of how we play. But I think he's a player that I think a lot of people are going to play.
Yeah, I mean, he was really good against Watford, and I think, and obviously scored the winner against Liverpool. So it'll be interesting because he played up top against Watford, and he's obviously not going to play up top with Daka there. I don't think he's going to play on the left, which is I think what he prefers because we got Barnes still in the team. But I think him on the right, and hopefully he'll take kind of his form to the right-hand side. That's where he normally plays when he comes in. But I think it'd be real interesting what kind of goes on with him.
Yeah, I think we've got a bit at the moment. I'm just going to go through again. I've got some positions at the moment. I'm just kind of creating a formation because Hans obviously the comments. Hans, if you want to join, mate, you're more than welcome to. But I'm just getting it up at the moment. I'm building a quick formation builder. So what we were talking about, I think I've gone for a 4-3-3 here at the moment. Who else? So we've got. I'd say we put Barnes on the left, right, and then you put Daka in the middle, Lookman on the right. I think, and then in the midfield, who else would you go for?
I would put Kieran Dewsbury Hall in there, and then obviously Madison. I think it's a travesty that him nor Odegaard won Player of the Month last month.
Yeah.
And I would put Tielemans on the other side.
Yeah, let's have a look at this Tielemans, and we'll build it up slowly as we go as well. So Tielemans there again. I don't know anything about FIFA, so if people are it's the wrong card, I'm like, okay, that's fine. And then put Dewsbury Hall again. So that would be interesting because again, we're missing that center like a holding Dewsbury Hall. I can't spell. But let's see if this works. Here we go. So again, he's coming on massively, and this is the interesting thing. So centre backs now, I think we're going to have to play we're going to have to play Vestergaard at the back, but that's against Kane, and it's not going to be great, I don't think. But we're going to have to see how it goes, in my opinion. But what centre back partnership would you go with?
Obviously, I think you put Chowdhury back there. I think he had a really, really good game against Watford, and I don't think there's really any reason to mess that up. You said Soyuncu was coming back.
Yes, Soyuncu is coming back. Would you play him alongside Chowdhury?
I would probably play Soyuncu and Chowdhury together.
Interesting, because again, that works on the left, because I think Soyuncu works as like a back of a left-sided, and he is fit for this one. But then we go into wing back position, right back and left back. Obviously, Castagna, from what we hear, is going to be out. Ricardo's going to be out. James Justin, I think we both say that it's too early to start him. So who could we have a go at the moment?
Well, I think left back be Luke Thomas. I think that's kind of the easy one. I mean, right back there's with Pereira out, Castagna out. I don't think we should start Justin.
There's Brunt. Would you give Brunt a go? Because he played on the left against Watford.
He did. The Daly Campbell, he didn't play well against Watford, but he at least has some experience. Oh, I just saw a comment. Albrighton. I put probably Mark Albrighton.
Yeah.
I think
so we'll have a look. Albrighton, I would definitely stick him. Again, as one to what again? Because the thing is, one of the reasons why I think Daly Campbell didn't do that well is because he plays on I think he's a right back, so he's playing essentially out of position. So, but again, with that match, it was just whoever was fit to try and cover. And then at the back, I'm pretty sure, again, we don't need to say this too much, but it would be pretty much Schmeichel. If it wasn't, I'd be surprised, but I'm pretty much guaranteed it's going to be Schmeichel, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm still okay with Danny Ward being in there. I'm okay with either of them.
Yeah, I know that's a great one. So going through something, we mentioned Vontae Daly Campbell. We mentioned Brunt potentially. I think he didn't do anything wrong. And the other player that I can think of as well is McAteer. But I can't see him getting into the team either.
I can see that. I can see him on the bench, maybe getting subbed on, but I don't really see any. I mean, Alves and Matavadua are both playing for the U23s today, so they're obviously not going to be a part. But they're probably going to be on the bench. I don't really see them having a chance of starting. Brunt might have a very slight chance.
But again, off the bench, because bearing in mind, Tottenham are on a hot run of form. They've just slumped a little bit. We look at, again, this is a match that's being currently played at the moment. Again, I don't want to go over the scoreline because sometimes they're irrelevant by the time. But again, Ben Nelson potentially could be a centre back. Matavadua, again, who played. Braybrook, who's on the bench. Alves, who we're mentioning. There isn't really anybody there again, so these players aren't available. I think if you look at the debate, Sichita there, Young, Hughes, Fitzhugh. So there's not two. There's quite a few under 21s that are there as well. So it's how do I say that? I think it's an interesting. There's quite a few players back, but at the same time, I think we might see a few young people blooded into this game.
Yeah, I think we could potentially see some subs. I think one player I would love to see play with the first team was Wakeling, but obviously he's going on loan. But I think McAteer, I believe he's had 2 sub appearances for us in games. So I think he's, to me, if any of the players could really maybe have a potential to be in the game and make a difference, would probably be McAteer for me.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. I think McAteer could make a difference. Again, from what I've read, there was a recent we had Joaquin on who was telling us a little bit more, and also I was reading about the Athletic, and a lot of these young players are they've, like, for example, we look at Lewis Brunt, and he played in a centre midfield, then he went to left back, and then he went to a left back of a 3. So he's able to play in multiple positions, and then have to be with the situation at the moment. So, I mean, the other player that's not available at the moment, just a little bit of notice, that's something to mention. Daniel Amate might be coming back from international duty, because it looks like Ghana's AFCON is pretty much over. They're on the brink of exit, apparently. But again, Austin, he's going to be a player that if he comes back, we're going to have to drop. Well, I won't say drop him straight back in, but he's a player that would slot straight into our back line and improve it by quite a bit, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think he would either we would go into a. I mean, it'd be interesting because if Chowdhury plays well, you could. I mean, to me, it'd be hard to take out Chowdhury and put Amarte back in, or you could also move Amarte to right back. But to me, that kind of depends on how players play. If Amarte would come back in.
Yeah. And again, he could play in different positions as well, all along that. In the middle of a back 3, in a back 2, in a back 3, I think that's probably where he's best. But then you have to sacrifice somebody from the midfield, and that's a weird one. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it at the moment. But again, in terms of looking forward to the game as well, is there anybody? Because the thing is, we are still recovering. Tottenham had their game cancelled because of COVID, and Arsenal. We had our game recovered, so both of us are going into this game hot and fresh. However, Leicester, Arsenal is always going to be a good game, as we were saying before. We're looking back at a few of the amazing results. Obviously, there's been some really high-scoring results, and I could see another high-scoring result in this one, to be honest.
Yeah, I think Conte. I think how he's going to play almost 5 at the back. I think we all know how he plays, and he's going to try to stop it. But I just, with our attacking prowess and how our attack has been playing recently, I could easily. I mean, our defense could easily give up goals. I don't think we're going to say we're going to go out there and get a clean sheet, but I think our attack has a chance to really put balls in the back of the net.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
hopefully
I'm really
not
going to
make us go through another 5-4 or 4-2 or whatever we went through.
Yeah, 5-4. I think 6-1 when Kane scored 4 a few years ago under Shakespeare. There's a bit of a few weird results as well, but at the same time, I just see some Daniel Amate prop, so definitely have to get that in. But yeah, Daniel Amate, yeah. He's always positive. You can't say anything negative about him. No, but he's again. With Ghana's squad, it is kind of weak, but again, we'll have to see. But obviously, he'll hopefully be back in a couple of weeks. And another thing as well, obviously, with all these fixtures, now we've got 4 fixtures. We've got Everton. Obviously, we'll play. We'll probably, most likely, again, I don't want to say, but Tottenham will play. Burnley's postponed. We've got a few games, Austin, and with Conference League, and if we are looking to move on to the next level, there's genuinely, I think there's only 3 weeks that we've not got a mid-game, we've got not a midweek performance. So it's looking quite tight at the moment, and we're not going to be able to fit all these games in before the end of the season, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, the only really midweek in February that we have is right before the Forest game. I mean, other than that, we got Randers in the middle of the week. We have Liverpool at Anfield in the middle of the week. I mean, and then some of these games could easily get moved to March and April, which you don't know if we're still in Conference League, how that's going to go. We also have the Norwich game that we got to make up. We got 3 games that we got to fit somewhere. Then you got FA Cup, you got Conference League. It's going to take a lot of players to really to help us this year.
Yeah, it's going to really, because again, the games this season, again, you can't even postpone it because we've got the World Cup in 2022 at the end of the year. So they're going to try and start the season earlier. So it's going to be even more. They can't even meet, and everybody has to finish at the last game of the season. But another thing as well, because Chelsea are through to the finals, this game is now postponed as well. I've just realised that because they're through to the final of the Carabao Cup, this is now postponed. So we've got 4 games, bearing in mind if this one is to go through, and then 1 more game in January. Yeah, it's just looking a bit intense. And the thing is, if we could maybe it'll work in our favour, because if we're going this hard, if we're suffering with these injuries now. By the time we come into April, we'll have the likes of Castagna back. We'll have Ricardo hopefully back. We'll have James Justin up to kind of full fitness. Fofana will be back. Johnny Evans might be coming back because it'll be April time. So I know it's a long way away, but these players aren't really... It's maybe a better time to play them because you've got more option and more people.
Yeah, and that's what, when the Burnley game got postponed, I was totally okay because it gave us a couple more days. And I mean, obviously this postponement stink, but it's not really the worst thing for us right now. It's just when it comes to February time, we have a lot of games, and then I assume some of these games are going to get moved into March. It's going to be a real tough go with it, and we're going to need all of our 25 players to get through these games.
Yeah, and we might need to call upon, like we did in the Watford game, the under 18s and under 23s. And for me, what I was buzzing after that game for like a couple of days. I don't know about you, Austin, but because of these players that are coming in the under 23s and they're upgrading themselves to the Premier League standard. Obviously, it's a weak Watford side. However, a lot of these players that got their first appearances didn't look out of place at all.
No, not at all. I mean, the only player that kind of seemed out of place was Daley Campbell, and he's played a couple games before, but I thought Alves, Matavadua, Brunt, and McAteer, I thought they all looked really, really good coming in. So I mean, obviously you worry about the kids somewhat because they don't have that experience, but they have the talent to be able to hang. So I'm not too worried about them.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Just some other comments again. I'll get to yours, Seb. Chester, yeah. Favorite game I've been to, 2-1 Spurs, Lob 17-18. Yeah, that was a great game. Mahrez Screamer. Yeah, I remember that was a sensational game. Another one as well was the 5-4 last time 5-4, yeah, 17-18. That game was just unbelievable.
Was it Wembley?
That one. Yeah, and that was
Iheanacho scored
Iheanacho, yeah.
Yeah.
He got an unbelievable goal for that game. But yeah, and so again, from then 17-18, bearing in mind the Claude Puel era, things have come a long way. I mean, it's 4 years since the end of 2018. Now it's coming up to 2022. It's 2022. We're coming up to the end of that season. 4 years, and Austin, in that time, I mean, football has changed massively for Leicester City.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be an eyesore to watch us, and now
it was this season as well.
2 years. Yeah, the last 2 years before we kind of fell off. I mean, you couldn't take your eye off of us. Like I felt bad going to the bathroom and getting a drink and not watching the game. Is just the way we would pass and move. And like my favorite game was at Palace, I think 2 years ago. We were passing all over the place. It was just such a beauty to watch. And remember those that Wolves lost 4-3 in the Puel era. Some of those Cardiff City lost 1-0. I mean, some of those games were just dull.
The 4-0, I think, right before Puel was sacked. That was a game where I was like, this is just...
All the Palace games where we always got battered.
Yeah, by Benteke, who never used to score. He's just one of those players that always turns up against you. You're like, right, okay, I think he's one of ours, so hopefully he doesn't play when we play Crystal Palace next. Another one as well, yeah, when we go back to the King Power Stadium, the 2-1, that was a great game as well. I think it was Maddison's first season in the Prem, I want to say. I think it was.
No, second. No, 1920 was the second, I think.
Okay, I think Maddison could have come in, yeah. So apart from that, Austin, that's pretty much it all I've got for the game. Again, the only other thing that I've got potentially in terms of transfer news, it isn't a lot likely, but another player's been batted around, Christian Eriksen. It's not a player that potentially I don't think we need. We don't have the biggest budget. And we don't do a lot of shopping in January, but can you see this one happening?
I mean, I personally don't. I would, for the story, I would love to have him. I think what he's gone through is really great, but I think at that position, I think we're totally okay because if Maddison, knock on wood, goes down, you still have Perez, you still have, I mean, Lookman could almost go in there, Tielemans can go there. I think at that number 10 position, I think we're kind of okay on.
Yeah, so I think you're right, and then also we can play Tielemans farther up there as well, and I think just centre back cover is what we need just until Fofana gets ready to go as well, and cover for Johnny Evans as well. But apart from, because the games are coming up, I've got a funny feeling we probably won't sign anybody, but we'll have to see how Leicester City do. If you enjoyed the video, again, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Chester is off to Brentford. It kind of feels like that one as well. Make sure you like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll see everybody for the post-match of Tottenham. So we'll see you then. Goodbye.